Hey, Miguel.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, there's some people are chatting, and it looks like there's 12 online. So why don't you see if the chats, make sure that everybody can hear us.
I can.
Yep,
Okay, she can
we're
hear.
good.
All right, so thank you. So thank you everybody for joining today. This is Sean McInerney from AscentERP, and today we're really honored to have Miguel Tam of Propel on the phone with us. Miguel has successfully launched many companies and products like Aptus, Oracle, or been with Oracle and I2. He's bringing over 2 decades of experience as a marketing executive in product marketing and sales enablement. And we're, as Ascent, we're excited to have this relationship with Propel because what you'll see as we go through the slides and Miguel's presentation a little bit, that Propel is really helping to re-engineer to help Ascent a little bit, where hopefully everybody knows we're a very good assemble to order and supply chain product. And one of the things we lack is a great engineer to order process. And with Propel and our partnership, I believe we're going to solve the engineer to order clients and help bring more functionality to not only Ascent and Propel but the platform. So Miguel, if you're ready, why don't we get started with the presentation? Oh, and I forgot to mention that you're all going to be on mute during the call. So if there are any questions, just type them into the Q&A panel and we'll get to as many as we can in the time that's allotted. Thanks.
Cool, thanks, Sean. So, yeah, I'm very excited to be presenting with Sean here and kind of discussing how AscentERP and Propel work together. What we're going to do between Sean and myself, we'll kind of be going back and forth a few slides, kind of setting the picture and what we're seeing in terms of trends in the manufacturing space, and then discussing a little bit more detail specifically about how AscentERP and Propel work together. We'll go through a few use cases. And then actually Sean has asked me to present a little bit more about Propel and how that works with Ascent in terms of kind of a brief demo that we'll do at the very end. And then, of course, as Sean mentioned, we'll go through some Q&A in terms of any questions that you may have on any of the things that we're showing. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of set the stage in terms of what we're seeing when we're talking. Sean and I have been talking to manufacturing companies for many, many years. We're both a little older than we look. That's how I like to say it. But a lot of the things that we're hearing recently in manufacturing is this concept of, digital disruption and digital transformation. And it's a really, to be honest, it's a vague phrase, and it's really it's really important to understand what does that mean exactly. And what we're seeing between, Sean and ourselves over here at Propel is that there are all these new technologies out there that are changing customer expectations. And that a lot of more established companies are, to be honest, nervous. They're afraid that these newer, more nimble competitors are going to take advantage of these trends and kind of leapfrog over them. So at Propel, we've been calling this shift in the market basically the participation economy. And what that means specifically is that, customers specifically are participating more and more throughout the entire product lifecycle. Shipment, repair, etc. So a few things that we're seeing, things like social media, where you can, take care of support issues through Twitter, for example. Like Internet of Things is a very common thing where, you can look at your own benchmark data and compare it to everybody else out there. Crowdsourcing, if you were on our last webinar that Propel had, one of our customers, Peak Design, has basically built their company purely on Kickstarter. And not only from a fundraising perspective with their customers, but the whole customer interaction as well in terms of, new products, new product ideas. And then finally, 3D printing is a big thing in terms of how customers are actually building and designing their own parts that supplement the products that they're all buying from customers. So, a lot of this stuff we've seen in B2C companies, or, business to consumer, but, Ascent, ERP, and ourselves here at Propel, we're seeing that a lot of these trends and expectations and changes are happening in the B2B and manufacturing world. And that's changing how companies basically design and deliver the right product to their customers. So specifically, just taking it down quickly, the next step is, the old days of customers just receiving stuff is very different. And when you think of engineer to order, as a manufacturing, you're delivering and making a very specific product. So customers are way more engaged throughout the entire life cycle. First of all, if they've done business with you before, the expectation now is that you as a manufacturer should know everything about that customer in terms of, hey, what have they bought from you? When did they buy stuff? How much have they paid? What issues have they had with your products? Second of all, as you're designing either engineer to order, assemble to order, they want to have direct input into not only the current product that they're looking for you, but even potentially the future roadmap of the things that you're delivering. Third of all, as things are being manufactured, they want to have visibility into, how are you looking from a design perspective? How are you looking from a ability to meet certain dates that they're looking for? What kind of yield issues are you running in manufacturing? All that stuff is, they want to be a lot more transparent. And then as the product gets delivered to the customer, if you're selling through distributors or through sales channels, they want to have the right information, the right visibility into what's going on with that order. And once the product's in their hands, being able to understand, if I'm having issues, how can you as a manufacturer resolve those issues super quickly, whether it's, repairing a part, refurbishing it, returning things, or even fixing things long term. So what, AscentERP and Propel have seen is this kind of, new type of participation economy requires a whole new way of thinking about, business processes as well as systems. I think the old days of, hey, PLM does this, ERP does this, CRM does this, and everyone has these all very specific tools to do amazing stuff, is kind of dead in a lot of ways. It's very, very hardware centric. It's very limited in terms of the collaboration between engineers, manufacturing, operations, customers, sales channels. And it's really hard to configure a lot of these systems in terms of keeping up with, let's say acquisitions, keeping up with new business models, or keeping up with new products and services. So what Sean and I are big believers in is you really need a shift from a product focus to a customer focus. So specifically thinking about what's the entire customer experience when you are interacting with them as a manufacturer. How do they engage with you in terms of the first initial outreach from a request or an RFP even? And how do you manage that whole experience through design, manufacturing, and delivery? So really starting to think outside of engineering and manufacturing, but thinking of the entire process, including sales and service, et cetera. And last of all, having a really open and flexible way to manage all this information. So specifically, that's why Propel and AscentERP are working together to help manufacturing companies in this new participation economy. So what we think is that the best way to deliver the perfect product for your customers is to get engineering, operations, sales, marketing, all working together for the customer and all on a common cloud platform. And that's basically what you get with Propel, Ascent, and Salesforce. So like AscentERP, Propel is built on the Salesforce platform. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later, about what that means. But what that means is when you combine the three of our solutions together, as a manufacturing company, you're able to manage all the product designs and product data like bills of materials, files, and sales collateral in one place. So specifically, when you combine Propel and Salesforce CRM, you're now able to collaborate with your customers and your partners on more customer-facing product data. It's not just hardware designs, but things that customers really care about, like, what are their requirements? Can you collaborate on that? What are the product issues that they may be facing? And how do you update and roll out product pricing appropriately? Okay, so with that said, let me turn over to Sean, so he'll talk a little bit more about how Ascent works with Propel and Salesforce.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Miguel. And so, I mean, a lot of the people on the call know what Ascent is doing, and we like to, when we're talking about the difference between us and Sales Cloud and even Service Cloud, right? Salesforce's main goal in life is to generate revenue. How do you manage sales funnels and opportunities, and that customer responsiveness? Where Ascent throughout its history here has been maintaining and helping drive cost, right? How do we have more effective distribution of repair and production? And now with our work orders, our repair, refurbish, replace. And again, and with Propel coming into the mix with us, like Miguel is saying, you're able to have more of a coordinated effort potentially with your customer instead of being in a silo as you design products. But putting us all on the same platform, we're truly able to not only help generate greater revenue together by finding better customer success and customer service, but as those designs are being built and Propel is managing the revision levels and the quality assurance and what the history of the design before turning it over to Ascent as a completed item with the bill of material, we're really able to now capture the true cost of what it's going to take to create a product and get it out to market. And then as you'll see later on in the slides, where together we're able to put a better QA product together and manage the revisions and rev levels when we're doing our repair, refurbish, replace. But all again on one platform is always the goal. How do you have one spot to manage your entire business from start to finish? And this is really a great step for engineer to order customers.
Great, thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Miguel.
Yeah, and I know as Sean mentioned, I know there are a number of Ascent customers online. So let me just add a little bit more color about Propel. I'm not going to go through all this in nauseating detail, but the way to think about us, as Sean mentioned, is that, as you're developing your products, we basically are a solution, a product lifecycle management solution that places your customers in the center of this product development and launch strategy. So helping everyone to, your customers and everyone else work more closely and participate in every step of the product lifecycle. So capturing requirements and ideas, being able to define early designs and bills of materials, manage the whole change and revision process. And in conjunction with, Ascent, ERP, and Salesforce, being able to launch those products into the market with some project management capabilities, change management for pricing and sales data. And as I'll show you in a second, the last thing I'll show you is specifically how do you create this closed loop from a customer perspective to improve product quality. Okay, so let me turn it over to Sean to talk about a few use cases here.
All right, so the first great use case here, and just so you realize, I hope, that the blue circles represent what Propel is supporting. The green circles are more on the Ascent side, and black is Salesforce. So as the engineering, or again, and I always, sometimes I'll point out here some of the things that we were lacking is the ability to manage those engineering orders, right? Manage the blueprints, the design, the revision levels, and the documentation. So now we have a great partner in Propel that's going to help us do that. And as we create the design that's been, whether marketing comes up with this design or a specific customer comes up with this design, we're going to then walk it through the traditional operational side of build, BOM creation, procurement, receiving, assemble, track some of the labor, track your labor rate so you can truly get a costing on what it takes to build that product. And this way, when you're out there selling it and you're distributing it and managing it, whether serial numbers or you're going to understand, where this product is in the in the channel and your customer base, and really what it's costing you to build it. And you know, as we're coordinating and all the shipments, we're bringing this whole thing as a closed circle of a supply chain, from design it to build it, ship it, you know, maintain it and manage it. I think we'll go to the next one, Miguel. Right. So the next slide is complaint to resolution, and we're all hearing a lot about, if you don't already use the Salesforce Service Cloud, they're putting a lot of effort and time behind the service side of their business, because it's another way for you as our customers and Propel's customer and Salesforce customer to maintain a tighter relationship with your client outside of just your sales guys and marketing collateral. It's if you create a product, how do I stay on top of the customer? How am I always involved with my customer? How do I, for years and years and years, help to manage and maintain those clients? And so Salesforce is really putting a lot of time, money, effort into their Service Cloud. And this latest product that, you know, has been out for maybe a year, 2 years now, they call it Field Service. And it's really a dispatch and repair and maintenance for field service workers. And that's where they're really focused, because they want that field service technician to be out there in customer sites, on customer locations, you know, acting as an arm to sales and marketing and customer success. And where Ascent has released this, and this was the most exciting thing for me so far this year, that we released, in case you don't know, our work order function. So our work order solution is now allowing us to do something I'm calling the 4 R's, which is return. We always can handle returns, but return it, repair it, refurbish it, and then replace it. So now you're able to have new inventory, refurbished inventory. And as you're repairing and replacing existing products out there in the field, you don't always have to pull from your new stock. You can pull from your refurbished stock. And with the Propel announcement in Ascent is that we are able to maintain a true quality assurance. So when the product comes back and is walking through the process of being physically repaired, right? Because Ascent's really managing the physical aspect of touching something. Propel is helping us to maintain all the quality assurances and the QA steps in the process of repairing and refurbing and recertifying that product so that you can reuse it. And if things are discovered during the work order stage and the QA stage that you're finding commonality in products where the same thing keeps breaking over and over and over, through the engineering change order and engineering control that Propel will offer, we're able to now start to understand, hey, this, what's always wrong with this particular product? What do we have to do to fix it and repair it? How do we move forward so that we can stop the same issue from reoccurring? And then again, that's pretty much bringing the entire circular supply chain. I think we're all going to start to hear this new term, the circular supply chain, where we're designing the product, making the product, distributing the product, and then repairing and refurbishing the product. And so we're really happy to have this relationship so that we can truly say that we have a true circular supply chain model built directly into Ascent.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, and then finally, the last use case that Sean and I have been seeing a lot, especially with engineered order companies, is we're calling it opportunity to order. And we've heard this from a number of customers in the engineered order space. And actually, I've experienced it in my past life working at engineered order companies. But the issue that typically happens with these ETO companies is that, to be honest, sales guys become the ultimate cat herder in terms of collaborating between customers, engineering, and operations. So the typical use case that we've seen is, a customer will say, hey, you know what, I want to get so-and-so built. I know generally that your company can probably do this. The sales guy, of course, like all sales guys, say, yep, of course we can do that. And then they turn around to the engineering and operations team and say, hey, can we do this? What does it look like? How much is it going to cost? What's the lead time? And they're busy, scurrying around, cat herding the
Hey, Miguel.
goes back to the customer, and it's a lot of shuttling back and forth between customer, sales, engineering, and operations. So it's a very inefficient process. So if you're able to streamline this collaboration, you're able to dramatically improve your output and dramatically improve your revenue. I mean, there's just one of our customers has actually increased their product throughput by 500% by streamlining this collaboration across the entire company. And specifically, this is what they're doing. So in Salesforce, being able to capture the request and the opportunity, but then using Propel as a common place to collaborate between sales and the customer and engineering to go back and forth in the requirements in one place. And as that gets more refined, using AscentERP to actually figure out for real, hey, what are the real costs and lead times and schedules, especially if you're making a lot of the stuff in-house, or if you're buying stuff from other third parties or design partners to incorporate into your build. And then last of all, from a Propel perspective, being able to look at the final price, get buy-in and commitment from the customer, and then being able to book that deal as a closed opportunity in Salesforce. So that's a very common use case, especially in engineered order, and we think that's a great use case for Propel, AscentERP, and Salesforce. So I know there's a lot of Salesforce customers, Ascent and Propel customers online, but just in case, we've talked a lot about the Salesforce platform, but just in case you're not aware of what it is, it's not just a CRM solution. It is a great business platform, and Gartner has rated it, the top leading business cloud platform, I think 3 years in a row now. And I think the really important thing to think about is, both Ascent and Propel and Salesforce obviously are built on the same common platform. And what that means is, one, if you know Salesforce, or if you know Ascent, or if you know Propel, customizing, configuring, building in these integration points between the 3 different systems is super, super easy. It's, just point and click and you're basically done. So the hardest part is just figuring out what your business process should be. Technically, AscentERP, Propel, Salesforce can easily take care of that because we're all built on a common platform. And then the last thing is all that data that you have in terms of, the ERP data with Ascent, the PLM data with Propel, the CRM data with Salesforce, it's all secure. You can report on it, and as your business grows, you can change it. It's highly available and highly scalable, especially once your business starts taking off. So at this point, let me just show you just a quick demo. I don't want to spend too long. If you want to see a longer demonstration, we actually have I think a 45-minute long demonstration of Propel this Thursday this week by one of our solution engineers. So he can go into extremely detailed view about Propel. But let me just flip screens here and just show you a slightly deeper dive of how Propel works. So one of the things Sean mentioned was this whole concept of complaint to resolution. So let me just drill into that one a little bit more. And what you'll see in this dashboard here is, customer reported issues. And that's great. Obviously with Service Cloud and Salesforce, you can see all the specific issues. What Propel does is takes it down to a deeper level. So you can actually look at the specific component of the product that's causing those issues. So if you'll see that it's a peak backup device that's having issues, but specifically, I can see that it's a battery management system module happening across a variety of my product lines that are causing issues with my customers. And what I can do then is basically drill into this specific component. And one of the key things about Propel is this whole concept of where used. So let me just click on that one. And what where used tells you is that if I'm having this problem component, what are all the possible assemblies that I have and products that I have that are using this problem component? And just think of like the Samsung battery that, last year's famous quality issue. Imagine if that battery was used across all the Samsung phone lines. That huge issue that they had last year would have been even a huger issue. So in this case, luckily, this battery management, battery system module is only used in one item, which shows me that's okay, good. At least it's limited to this one specific product, the Peak 800 backup and disaster recovery device. And what Propel does is it shows you this complete hierarchy. Let me close this. This complete bills of materials, which shows you, hey, what are all the specific components that make up this Peak 800 backup and disaster recovery device. Okay, so you can drill down as much as you want, whether it's manufactured in-house or whether you buy a specific component or sub-assembly from another company. And the other thing you can do, I'll just show you really quickly, is you can see how do different revisions change across time. So you will understand, hey, maybe you can see there's been an issue potentially with batteries or other things that have been swapped out. In this case, what I'm going to do is, actually, there we go. I am going to, actually, sorry about that. I am actually going to swap out that battery management system module that's had a problem. So basically what Propel lets you do is redline out very graphically that problem component that I've had. And I've already added in a more durable battery. So the extreme battery module, as well as its associated manual. So any of these items that you want to associate with the product, you can define in Propel. And of course, some of the things you define in Propel, you might not want to push over to AscentERP. Like a lot of the hardware obviously makes sense. Some of the software components that you might want to capture here, you might not want to push over to Ascent. And like a thing like a manual or sales collateral, things like that. Those things typically you would not want to push over to Propel unless you're starting to, maybe you're actually printing those manuals itself and you want to track that ERP. So that's all configurable and up to you to decide how you want to do with your business. Okay, then last thing I'll just show you is this whole concept of a change process. So once I've actually figured out what are my red lines, I can then route this change around to different people for review and approval. And you can make that as tight or as open as you want. So in this specific case, because it is a production part and production component, I have to go through a revision control. I have to increase the rev level. I have to get specific approvers approving this specific change. So they can, as they're going through this change process, they can look at AscentERP and figure out, hey, how much inventory do I have on hand? When should I phase in that change based on the inventory on hand or based on the customer impact by looking at Ascent and by looking at Salesforce. So that's why it's really important to have all these solutions working together. And of course, all these workflows and approvals are completely configurable. Okay, so that's just a short snapshot of what Propel can do. And obviously, as part of this change process, you can have links out to specific work orders in AscentERP in terms of handling specific phase-in actions or scheduling specific manufacturing flows on your floor. Okay, so with that, let me flip back to our demo and maybe wrap it up here with Sean.
All right, great. Well, that's very exciting, Miguel, what you just showed. And again, I can't help to say it enough, but having Propel on the front end and then on the back end during our work order process, Again, it's just going to close the circle of how you can support your customers, and of course how we support our customers, you guys, right? It just gives us a end-to-end solution to make you more more valuable to your client base, and hopefully we all grow together. So we do have some top line and bottom line ways that we're helping that a complete ERP in the cloud with Propel, Ascent, and Salesforce Sales Cloud or Service Cloud are going to help you. First of all, we're always going to be faster, customer responsiveness. So we're going to be able to respond to design, requests, changes, and ideas. Where before, we had to write it down, you had to put it in CAD, somehow you had to get it over into Ascent. Well, now with Propel, you can eliminate all that extra activity outside of the platform and potentially save yourselves a whole bunch of money too by not having to redo and maintain other systems. The order fulfillment times, we're hoping that from a start of an engineering project to finish delivery to the customer, we're going to reduce that time to market by just having this all, again, one fast integrated product, which will be able to give you faster time to market, like we said, and faster product introductions, because you're going to have one place to manage all of your business versus multiple solutions, in disparate systems and working in silos. And again, it's hoping that we're going to help you reduce inventory and scrap, and on the repair side, lower your TCOs for the IT systems, right? We're all in the cloud, hopefully less training, easier integration. Again, it's really just having that one system of record to help you from the start of a process when you're designing and building and creating a product to the other side of it when, unfortunately, if you have to take it back and repair it and replace it, we're going to have that whole QA procedure in line, and then the ability for you to understand, well, what is wrong with my current design that I can fix, solve, and resolve, so we don't have to go through this again, and we just make a better product and make our customers happier and make our customers more successful. And it really, really the goal, and as always has been, is that how do we eliminate all of these silos that are out there and all the disparate systems, and eliminate that ugly word called integration, which causes heartache and pain to many of implementations that are existing. And again, by putting us all together on Force.com platform, I think we've really created the complete circle in your supply chain.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Looks like I jumped the gun on the slides here. So, hey, just a reminder for the people here that if you have any questions for Sean or myself, just go ahead and enter them in the Q&A panel. I'll wait a few moments before we take a look at some of these questions. So why don't we hold on here, and I'll reiterate that a copy of these slides as well as a recording of the webinar will be sent out to everyone as well. So don't make that one of your questions. Okay, and I just noticed I spelled AscentERP wrong here, so apologies there. I think I had a epileptic seizure there. So yeah, here's the first question for you, Sean, which is how is Ascent different from other ERP providers built on Salesforce?
Well, any of my current customers have heard me say this a million times, right? That we actually built Ascent from scratch for the platform. So we love to say we were built from the mud of the marketplace, meaning from day one, keystroke one, we built the first line of code into the Salesforce servers. We were not another product built on a different platform that we migrated to Force. We weren't an accounting system that we added all kinds of bells and whistles to try to become an inventory production solution. We built Ascent from scratch purely for Salesforce based on years of knowledge between myself and selling barcode devices and scanners and printers in distribution, and my co-founder, Mike, who has a family-run manufacturing facility. So everything that we've done in Ascent was built for and on the platform, not for somebody else or somewhere else, and then just try to migrate it. So it makes us the most extensible, flexible product out there.
Awesome. And here's another question for you. So you talked about costs. So how do you sync costs between Ascent and Propel or Ascent and other systems?
Yeah, so well, there's a lot of ways that Ascent manages a cost. We have a standard average last costing model. With Propel, because we're all built on the platform, we're able to connect your cost tables with our cost tables. And so we don't like to use the word sync because when we're all built together, it's shared data. Just like we share the account data with CRM, we're going to share the cost data with Propel.
Awesome. And it looks like this is a question. Well, I'll take this easy question for me, which is, do you need to have Salesforce to use Propel or Ascent? And the answer is no. I'd say about half of our customers, Propel's customers, do not actually use Salesforce. We think that there's great value in combining, as you've heard in the last half hour or so, there's a lot of great value in combining Salesforce and Propel and Ascent. But you do not have to have Salesforce. A lot of the platform functionality that you need for Propel is part of the Propel license, if you will. So the workflows, the custom fields, roles and privileges, et cetera, that's all part of what you get with Propel without having to buy Salesforce for CRM. Okay. I think this question, I'm not sure it's for you or me, Sean, but is like, what's the difference between BOMs or bills of materials in Ascent and BOMs in Propel? So maybe if you want to take a stab at that, Sean, I can add my 2 cents too.
Sure. Well, the BOM in Ascent is really after somebody's designed the product and said, okay, in order to make this finished good, here are all the components that I need to build it. So the bill of material, right? That finished good, roll up, sub-assemblies. We can have multiple level of sub-assemblies. And then as each sub-assembly and each item that creates the sub-assembly is a standalone inventory item that can then be sold and used on its own, besides being rolled up into the finished good.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll just add my 2 cents is BOMs and Propel are basically the engineering view of the BOM, if you will. I mean, there's a lot of things can happen. A lot of customers put things in the Propel BOM that, heaven forbid, if they ever showed up in ERP, or some manufacturer would be complaining, it's like, what exactly are you trying to have me build here? So it's a great place to capture all this product information, but obviously Ascent is that's actually what you're making and what you're shipping and what you're building and delivering. Okay. And it looks like there's just one, maybe 2 last questions of, this is a question I think for both of us, Sean, is how much does it cost? Unclear what it means, but I'll say Propel costs is basically we offer a license-based pricing per user per month, starting at $120 for like what we call the super user, versus maybe $45 for a more collaborative read and approve user. Okay, so I don't know, Sean, if you want to talk about how much does Ascent cost?
Well, Ascent has a tiered approach, so it's based on how many users. So we don't have we don't have different levels really of view only versus full use. So it depends, the 2 to 5 user price, there's a 6 to 10 user price, 10 to 11, and then anybody over 21, or 10 to 20, I'm sorry. Then anybody over at 21, we work it out with the client. But the entry level for the small, 2 to 5 user customers, because it is 2 user minimum, is $100 per user per month. So we follow a subscription model just like you and Salesforce, and that's how it starts.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like there's just one last question, and then we'll call it a wrap here, which is, can Propel facilitate if we received damaged goods from a supplier? So it depends on how you want to answer that. So first of all, receiving goods, I'd say that's probably more on the Ascent side in terms of, you know, actually capturing that delivery from the supplier, and actually facilitating the potential return to the supplier as well of any damaged goods and yield rates and all that other fun stuff. That's definitely, I'd say, in the Ascent world. Where Propel comes in is more from how do you ensure that doesn't happen again. For a more regulated company, you might want to kick in a supplier corrective action process. So Propel does work if you want to create a SCAR, a supplier corrective action request, to make sure things like that don't happen again. So depends on your situation, but you know, either Sean or myself can talk about how both Ascent and Propel can help there.
Yeah, I mean, from the Ascent side, you were right, Miguel. From the Ascent side, we certainly handle returns, not just your customer returning to you, but you returning to your supplier. So I think a lot of it has to do with some of our customers are looking more for vendor scoring and vendor management versus just you know, hey, this is a supplier. I cut them purchase orders. Here's where here's my drop ship capabilities. Here's where I pay my bill. When I make a PO, I've got to send stuff back to them. But the whole scoring and supplier management piece is something I think we'll talk about in the future.
Yep, definitely. Great. So with that said, Sean, it looks like, you know, I think we have no more questions. So I just want to thank, you know, everyone who attended the webinar. Sean, obviously want to thank you as well. Super excited to have Ascent and Propel working together. And with that,
absolutely,
we'll call a wrap, and thanks everybody for attending.
Yep, thank you. Bye.